Hello and welcome to Mr. Wizard's Workshop, episode number 21. This week's episode is titled The One Thing Question, also called the Focusing Question. It forces you to make the best decision about what to focus your always limited time and energy on and what actions to take. It's from the excellent book, The One Thing, which I've referenced in previous episodes, and I've been promising or threatening to start diving down into more details about the book. And this week I'm making good on that promise. So as a quick reminder from a review from last week, I described a simple but powerful productivity design pattern named the productivity funnel. And it's from Cal Newport. This is a snapshot of the basic design pattern with its three different levels. It's a funnel. You start at the top and work your way through. And in last week's episode, I shared the idea that I use the One Thing book as the primary tool to help me really focus on what I need to do for activity selection, the top level of the funnel. That's where you identify your universe of possible goals and activities and determine which activities to commit to accomplishing. So in this week's episode, I'm going to explain how I do that. As a hint, the focusing question is the core principle I'm using. So I'll get to the details of that very shortly, but first, just a little bit of housekeeping. So the live attendees are on mute. And as always, you can drop any questions or comments you might have along the way into the Q&A box. And at the end of the presentation, I'll check the Q&A and open up the floor for a lively discussion and Q&A session. So this is the focusing question. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? I put a couple of key quotes here. One is from Andrew Carnegie, which is, I tell you to put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket. Look around you and take notice. And because he was probably a little bit of a sexist, I'll also say women who do that do not often fail. Here's a quote from Mark Twain, who I really like. The secret to getting ahead is getting started. The secret to getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming task into small, manageable tasks and then starting on the first one. So why start with a question? Because what we really want is answers. So the right questions will get you to the right answer. As Voltaire said, judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. Power to question is the basis of all human progress. So how do you know what the first task should be? So again, it's the focusing question. I repeat it here for emphasis. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So don't dismiss just because it seems pretty simple. It can lead you to answer both big picture questions like what target should I aim for? And small focus questions like what must I do right now to be on the path to hit my target? So our results come from the choices we make and the actions we take. And the focusing question forces you to do what is essential to success, make the best decision. So it ignores what is doable and drills down to what is necessary. In effect, it leads you to that first domino. Here's a really cool GIF that shows the power of the domino effect. So a domino can knock over another domino that's 50% larger. So you can see the geometric progression that's taking place here, where he starts with a little tiny one and ends up knocking down a pretty big one. So knock over that first domino and good shit starts to happen. Quick quote that kind of sums it up. Every great change starts like falling dominoes. So there's a whole chapter in the One Thing book about the domino effect, but I'm going to distill it down for you. So the domino effect is real, both in physics and as a metaphor for living well and productively. As I mentioned, a single domino is capable of bringing down another domino is actually 50% larger. But life doesn't line everything up for us and say, here is your first domino. And highly successful people know this. So every day they line up their priorities anew, find the lead domino, and work on it exclusively until they knock it over. So why does this work? It's because extraordinary success is sequential, not simultaneous. What starts out as linear becomes geometric. You do the right thing, and then you do the next right thing. And over time, it adds up. Success builds on success. So when you see what someone who has a lot of knowledge or a lot of skills, they develop them over time. When you see someone that's done a lot, accomplished a lot, they accomplished it over time. And someone who's achieved tremendous business success did it over time. So success is built sequentially. It's one thing at a time. The focusing question is designed to find a great, and in fact, the best answer to the more generic question, how should I spend my limited time in it? It'll help you find your first domino for your business or any other area where you want to achieve extraordinary results. This workshop is for entrepreneurs. The context that I'm presenting in is business success, but you can apply the focusing question to the other key domains of life outside of business. That's health, spirituality, family, and community. And it comes in two forms: big picture and small focus. Big picture is a strategic compass. It's about finding the right direction in life, or since we're focusing on business, in your business. So you can use it to develop a vision for your life and a direction for your business. Small focus is about finding the right action to take today in this moment. What is my one thing right now? You can use the small focus when you first wake up and then throughout the day. And it keeps you focused on the most important work. And whenever you need it, it helps you find the levered action or first domino in any activity. The small focus question can also be useful in your personal life, keeping your attention to your most important personal needs as well as those of the most important people in your life. So your action item for this week is to write down the answer to the big picture question: what's the one thing I can do for my business such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And I'm giving you mine, which is master the skills of online marketing, design and implement a marketing plan, with a primary emphasis on content marketing and a secondary emphasis on branding. So that could be a little bit wordy, but I like to be specific in my thinking, and works for me. I have this printed out and mounted on my vision board, and I review it every day. A couple of brief announcements. If you found this video useful, you know what to do. If you know someone who enjoy it and benefit from it, please send them the link. If you have any questions, if you're watching this video after the live workshop, please post them. I always respond to posts. And I will post the link to the book, The One Thing, description of this week's recording. So if you aren't already registered for this free live workshop every Sunday, you want to learn how to level up your productivity in weekly bite-sized chunks, then you're invited to register. So each week I feature instantly actionable steps you can take to double your productivity, overcome procrastination, and get your shit done. This is Bruno, my marketing guy here. I also use it for collections. Just hit the link in the description of this week's recording to register. So we'll now open up for questions, answers, and discussion. Hello, Morris.
Hey, Steven. I think I posted my question too late in the Q&A section.
Oh, no, I see it. I see one down there now. So the question is, how do you draw the line between necessary and doable? There's a whole universe of things you could do that might make a certain amount of sense, but talk through it a little bit. But for me, once I ask the question, and obviously there's a certain amount of thought around it, and it's specific to or individual for everybody, but for my business, what is the one thing that's going to move the needle the most out of the universe of lots of things that I could be doing? So having framed that up as the big picture and arrived at the answer, which is shared what my one thing is, big picture one thing: master online marketing, because I'm putting a primary focus on content development or content marketing. It's the area that I would say I'm the weakest in. I mean, I have very good coaching skills. I have good general understanding of business. I mean, I was independent consultant for 20 plus years, but not that solid in marketing when I got started. I'm making good progress, but it is my one thing. So once I pick my one thing, then everything else kind of falls out. So did that answer your question, or do we need to chew on that a little more?
No. That's actually a really great answer to my question, because the way you answered it to me was, first of all, it's individual, and that kind of implies that it also depends on the person's priorities asking the question.
Well, but it helps you. It also helps you set your priorities. So, there's a bigger picture thing, hopefully, that almost everybody's done, which is, what is my business vision? What am I in business for? What's my 5-year plan? Or what are my goals? And then having that big vision leads directly into the one thing question is, what is the one thing I can do that's going to move the needle the most for me to achieve my big goals? And that could change over time. So I anticipate that at some point, I'm going to master online marketing. I'm going to get really, really good at it. I'm going to develop and implement my marketing plans, put them into practice. And at that point, it's probably not going to be my one thing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
What do you think your answer is for your big picture business one thing? Was the one thing that if you focused on it, it would make everything else about your business easier, or even eliminate having to do certain things if you do that one thing?
This is why I love coming to the workshop, because you put us on the spot. So that's great. So I think just more phone calls, kind of a duh answer is like, well, of course, the more people you talk to on the phone, the more clients you can sign up. I used to think it was my email list, but the email list essentially is just a gateway to scheduling more calls. So ultimately, it is all about talking to more people, getting to know more potential clients, getting referrals, signing up more clients. And the catalyst to all of that, I believe, in my business is, if I would have 5 phone calls every single day, then I'd already be hiring a team now. I think that's pretty much fact. I can't quite imagine a scenario where 5 new people want to talk to me every single day, and this is not, a great business growth.
To paraphrase it just slightly, maybe your big picture one thing is to significantly increase the number of discovery calls that you have.
Yeah, and it also it has a lot of impact on the work that I do right now, because let's say I want to do right now, I pretty much only have time Fridays for discovery calls, because on all the other days I'm working with clients, or working on my marketing, or preparing material for my clients and sessions. Imagine a world where I can focus on the one thing, where I'm the one just doing the discovery calls. That means a lot of work in my business has been systemized, outsourced, or like I said, there's a team supporting me. So that I can invest all this time into discovery calls. And maybe at that point, you need someone to help you with the onboarding calls and things like that. So that's why I think this is the one thing for my business, because of the huge ripple effect that it has. Right now, I can't do 5 discovery calls every day, because I don't have a team and a system to do all the other work for me. Right? I can't just sell my services and then not deliver.
If you did 5 discovery calls every day, or Monday through Friday, I mean, my guess is your conversion rate is going to be 40 to 50%. You're actually going to end up with more clients potentially than you can actually fulfill, unless you go to a group program.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. As you know yourself, for services like ours, especially like coaching services, the only way to scale is through groups and online programs and courses. And I really much prefer working with people. So for me, the next step is to grow my groups. So that's why sense for me, I guess. But other than that, I believe if you just want to do one-on-one coaching, even just, if you have 1 discovery call per day, you'll be a 6-figure coach easily. Yes. Within a few months.
Yeah. And I was actually I was kind of leading up to maybe making the point that your description of your one thing could be a little bit more specific and help kind of shape potentially your daily actions a little bit more. I think, and you just pretty much said it, if your goal is to put put in place, develop and implement a plan so that you have one discovery call every day, and that's your one thing. I think that's an ambitious, visionary one thing. I mean, the way you were describing it, it's like 5 discovery calls a day, which I think that's almost too much to target, but
yeah, I agree. That was
okay.
just, I was making this, I was saying this number because I think we can all agree that with that volume, you're signing up a lot of clients, right? That's why I was picking that number.
Yeah. And then when you hit that and you've got, a mechanism, you've got kind of the automation in place, you develop and implemented the plan, at a certain point, while it may be something you're doing, or you would still be doing to a certain extent, having discovery calls, maybe it's not, your goal isn't even one every day, it's 2 or 3 a week to keep future clients coming into your funnel, and maybe growing your groups versus the one-on-one, but then something else becomes your one thing.
Yeah, I like how you rephrased that as building the system that leads to the result, right? Because let's say if the one thing is one discovery call per day, that's kind of out of context, but building the system, and if 50% of my work per day is spent working on that system, then I can check that day off on my calendar as a successful day.
Exactly.
And just repeating what you said, actually. So yeah, exactly what you said.
Yeah, I shared mine as an example. And as I said, it might seem like it's a little bit wordy, but I'm trying to be very specific about what it is that is the one thing. So I could have just said master online marketing, but I don't think specific enough. And I could always rationalize where if I go study something, take another online course, oh yeah, I'm trying mastering, but research and studying, while it's important to truly master the skill, my goal is to actually do it, master it, design and implement a working plan that implements what I've landed on as far as here's my marketing plan. And with the primary focus, as I said, on content marketing, having that level of specificity keeps me from like fooling myself. So, oh yeah, I read this book. Yeah, okay, that did it. It makes me remember, hey, the biggest part of this is actually doing it, recording more, in this case, for the immediate future, more YouTube shorts, continuing to optimize my YouTube channel, continuing to do this workshop, growing my audience. Okay, so are you going to write down and post on your vision board your big picture one thing?
Yes. I'm doing it.
All right. Good deal. When we talk Tuesday, I'll ask you if you got it done.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen. You too have a great weekend. Great workshop.
Thanks.
I posted that was such a great quote in today's workshop. I posted it in the group, right? Like, ignore what is doable, do what is necessary. Looking at my to-do list right now, that quote cut right through my BS. So it was a great session. All right, Stephen.
All right.
Have a great Sunday. Bye.
You too.